Now, Laura, what led you to pursue this current role of academia that you have?
All of your questions make it seem like it was planned. So I didn't plan getting into radiography in the first place, and I didn't plan getting into academia. It wasn't like something that I strategically thought out and went, I'd be really well suited there. An email came out from the university saying we're looking for someone new, and I had absolutely no qualifications for it. I didn't really know what an academic did at that point, and I went, you know what, like, let's just throw my hat in the ring, see what happens. And I was successful, and the rest is history.
Well, they were doing something right, obviously, for them to email you. Usually it's the other way around. I had to fight for my job. It's constant emails I had to give. But
I did the morning, and then I did the afternoon shift. So morning at university, then the afternoon, and then I also did a night shift to complete that.
You gotta just take the next week off. At least for uni, I don't know, I mean, you guys may not know, but when you say I work 1 or 2 days for university, it always bleeds into the other hours of the day. Now, Laura, what led you to pursue this current role of academia that you have?
All of your questions make it seem like it was planned. So I didn't plan getting into radiography in the first place, and I didn't plan getting into academia. It wasn't like something that I strategically thought out and went, I'd be really well suited there. I had been working at the Children's Hospital for a long time and had kind of explored all of the avenues that I was going to explore without doing further education. And actually, even at that point, I was actually doing a master's in health leadership. Because I knew that probably the leadership pathway was more for me. But I was working in the clinical educator role and had been for a number of years. And it was something that I really loved. And an email came out from the university saying we're looking for someone new. And I had absolutely no qualifications for it. I didn't really know what an academic did at that point. And I went, you know what, like, let's just throw my hat in the ring, see what happens. And I was successful, and the rest is history.
Well, they were doing something right, obviously, for them to email you. Usually it's the other way around. I had to fight for my job. It's constant emails I had to give, but it was the other way around for you. So that's, you're doing something.
Honestly, 10 years ago, the situation was very different to what it looks like today.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned a clinical educator role. That, for someone that doesn't know, what really is that? And is that an extra responsibility on top of your job, or is it something that's expected for you to be doing when you're working clinically?
That's a really good question. So it's interesting, and it works differently in different workplaces, realistically. In New South Wales, we tend not to have like dedicated paid clinical educator roles. So I had responsibility for looking after our students and for some aspects of continuing professional development for our radiographers. But realistically, if you go somewhere like Queensland or Victoria, they're dedicated roles. They're usually kind of level 3, level 4 roles, depending on where you're at. And that's pay scale for anyone who's not familiar. When I'm talking in levels, usually that's relating to the pay scale that you're on. But for me, it was interacting with the universities and the students and being responsible for their learning and their assessment while they were on placement with us.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I had a clinical educator role as well in sort of my when I was working clinically more. And I was working in a small private practice, so it wasn't like I'm doing this for the extra money, because you get no extra money for it. Literally, I do it for the experience, because later I can leverage that experience in other areas. So yeah. So you've been working as a radiographer for a number of years now, and you said one of your main roles currently is a lecturer at Sydney Uni. What led you to that role, and why did you pursue it?
So, working 6 years at Westmead sort of hospital, I picked up a few things that I really liked doing. So one thing was sort of educating students. So whether that be looking after the students who come on clinical placement from all the different unis in Sydney that provide radiography students, or teaching sort of the new graduate radiographers that we have. That was something I really enjoyed, sort of orientating them through the different areas. I sort of developed a passion for sort of teaching there, and then that luckily led me sort of to reconnect sort of the old roots and back to the University of Sydney, where I've graduated in 2018, and having a few close contacts at the uni at that time, I was able to get sort of a teaching role as a sort of a casual academic, taking a few classes here and there, and sort of seeing if that was something I really wanted to further pursue. And fortunately, in the back end of sort of 2022, and then leading into 2023 and 2024, that was something I was able to fully realize. And, you know, it's been an enjoyable experience ever since. Of course, I still love radiography as well, but teaching is also something that has now developed into one of my passions.
And so you said you started off casually. What's your balance of uni versus radiographer at, working clinically?
So at the start, it was sort of 1 or 2 classes at the back half of the semester. And then in 2023, I got an opportunity to be a 1-day academic, which is like a Thursday. And that was something I negotiated with my boss at the time at Westmead Hospital. And so I would work Thursday mornings into sort of the early afternoons, and then head over to Westmead Hospital and complete an evening shift. And
it's a long day.
That was definitely was a long day. There was only one day I actually got called out with on-call as well. So I did the morning, and then I did the afternoon shift. So morning at university, then the afternoon, and then I also did a night shift to complete that.
You gotta just take the next week off. I feel like you've deserved it.
I probably should have. Yeah. I was quite tired by the end of that, that's for sure.
At least for uni, I don't know, I mean, you guys may not know, but when you say I work 1 or 2 days for university, it always bleeds into the other hours of the day. So I'm wondering if you experienced that as well. You were technically 1 day. Did you find yourself doing university's, work as a staff member more than that 1 day, or did you manage to keep it in that 1 day?
I think at the start, when you're getting into casual academia, it can sometimes bleed into the days where you're not meant to be at the uni. You try your best not to let it to bleed into sort of those days, but that's something that comes over time with experience as you get better and as you sort of know what you need to do with the classes in terms of the preparation, so that you can better control that, so you don't proverbially take work home, which is what you don't want to do, because it is your free time, away from both the hospital or away from the university. So it's always going to be a managing process, as I'm sure you know, but we find a way in the end.
Nice. And are you still, so how many days are you doing currently at uni and Westmead?
So now I'm full-time at the University of Sydney. I joined on a full-time basis at the start of 2024. And as a casual radiographer, I work about 1 to 2 shifts per month still at Westmead Hospital.
Nice, very good. That's pretty similar to what I do as well. And with you said you're currently working as an academic, of course. What led you to that current role after you did radiography?
Yeah, so I guess my formal education in radiography was an undergraduate degree in medical imaging at the university I teach at now. I then gained a radiographer position in Adelaide, and then during that time I completed my Master of Research, and then kind of during or closer to the end of that degree, I was lucky enough to get a position as a lecturer and researcher at UniSA. And so for the last, I guess, 3 and a bit years, I've been the stream coordinator of the medical imaging program, and I've since commenced my PhD a couple of years ago as well. So I guess in my role as both a lecturer and researcher, the student experience is something I'm really passionate about as well, aside from my PhD research. And so yeah, I'm really passionate about that, and that keeps me very busy.
Nice. And you said you did research, your Master of Research. Is that, you did that so that you could get into academia, or so that later you could do a PhD? What was your reasoning or thought process behind that?
Yeah, that was certainly one of the, I guess, advantages or draw cards for it, that I could then do a PhD and pursue academia. So yeah, certainly. But I mean, one of the main reasons was I was just interested in pursuing one of the questions that I had. So bit of both, bit of career purpose, but also just I was really interested and passionate about it.
And is your master's topic of research the same as your PhD? And if you could maybe shed some light on what that is.
Yeah, so it's actually completely different. Once that kind of question was solved, we then found another question in a different topic. So the master's was about imaging modalities for acute appendicitis, whereas my PhD is looking at imaging for Parkinson's disease. So kind of still imaging, but two different pathologies there.
And did you, out of interest, did you select your own research question for the PhD, or did you go find a supervisor that had that research question maybe already formulated and they just wanted the student? Because I did that path myself. I didn't come up with my own question. Just interested in your process.
Yeah, masters I formed the own question. But PhD came out of a colleague or a friend who had actually worked with the supervisor, and made me aware of the topic that they were looking into, and my interest just kind of peaked from there. So kind of similar to how you did that, Sahand, where the supervisor had a few questions or a few projects ready, and then I kind of picked the one which really suited me the most, or allowed me to kind of entertain my interest.
I've talked about this before in another video, but that is, in my opinion, the easier way. Not that it's different in any way, but coming up with your own question, you have to then find a supervisor that's willing to know the content to supervise you, and then maybe get funding, and so it's the whole thing. So definitely, I think the way we did it is the more common approach.
Yeah, I agree.
You also mentioned you're a stream coordinator. For someone that doesn't know what that is, what does that role involve?
That's basically the title our university gives for the representative for the medical imaging program. So part of my role is, being an assistant to students within the medical imaging program. Chairing meetings within the medical imaging program, essentially the lead academic for that program. So at our university, we have 3 streams, so medical imaging, radiation therapy, and nuclear medicine, and each stream has its own stream coordinator. And so I'm the stream coordinator for the radiography or medical imaging stream.
I thought stream stood for something, but it's different avenues of imaging that you're in charge of.
Essentially, just that particular modality or form of medical radiation, so medical imaging in our case.